marketplace. They go there on Thursdays, otherwise it's not really active. That's pretty much where everybody goes to buy all their stuff, right? Down here, we have, what was this? Oh, this is the religious place. This is where the people from the mosque, they live, the higher religious people, and then this is the actual mosque itself. The elementary school is here, and then the other school is here. That's basically, we thought maybe we could put the library in there, because they would run it. If we put it in the school, they're going to run it for us, right? But if we take it away from the school, they said we have to have our own administration. This is the town administration. I guess would kind of be like our court. And that's pretty much it for that. So what else were the problems?
Well, a few things that we just like talked about, like the whole town in general. Mr. Sexton did something really interesting. How up here there are a lot of burial mounds and stuff of old kings of the village, right? And they buried them with their whole house and stuff. So this is like an area that we don't want to touch. We don't want to go anywhere near there. There's also baobab. Is that
Baobab.
Yeah. Baobab. Sorry, I'm not getting at that. The trees, and they're those trees you probably seen in the pictures. They're the roots that go up, and they're another strong like tribal religious symbol.
Sacred.
Yeah, sacred is the word. And basically, we really started focusing in right around this area here. Because it seems that the junior high school is here, there's an elementary school here, the market goes here, the mosque is here, and then we were thinking it would be really cool to go market, mosque, and library. Because one thing you would get is you get all this traffic coming in on this road, is the main roadway Mr. Seck said coming in, and it would come basically be the first thing you would see. You would come driving in or walking into the village, and the library would be right here. And it gives it like a kind of like feel to the village where they like obviously emphasize learning and stuff, but at the same time, every day when you go to school, you pass the library, which kind of ensures that it would be a central part of the town, as well as like a place where all the kids would end up going. And those are a couple of the ideas we talked about, having it in the school for administrative reasoning. If we put it a little bit farther away, we would have to figure out some sort of administrative thing, maybe a volunteer kind of a thing. And then we also had the other idea, which was to put it in a completely different place, which is more towards the market part of town, which is at this intersection that we talked a lot about between two main roads that come from the west and south, or they intersect at one point. And it's the main area, apparently, of the town where everybody gathers together, right? And so there are pros and cons to all these places. Do you want to talk about some of the other stuff we did?
Yeah, well, with pros and cons, a big thing we tried to focus on was, do we put it on the school or do we put it by itself? Because when it goes by the school, you have, it's surrounded by all these children, which is the main point of this. We want it to be for the kids, but we also want it to be for all the adults. So that's another something to look back on. Maybe we can do it on its own, not with the school. But then with the school comes the management, because if it's in the school, you have teachers and volunteers and a lot of people who will be willing to manage it. I don't know how the specifications are of how it gets paid, and there's a lot of stuff to consider. So the public versus private, how will it be maintained after we leave? That's something we wanted to really emphasize, because it's before, during, and after. So you have before, when we're doing all of this planning, we're building it, finally you get there, construction happens, but then what happens after? I don't know, these people haven't really, they know what a library is, that was the understanding, but do they know how to keep this maintained, and what if something breaks down, and is there a phone to call for help? It's a lot of stuff after we build it to do. Also, something is, what was with the communal town buildings and the ownership? There was something with that.
The town owns all the
town
buildings, and they'll give us the land for free.
Yeah.
You got your connections. And also, then the last thing that seems to keep coming up in each group is how to make the outdoor space a part of the space too. Shade obviously is really important because it's basically desert conditions. So you need to have, like we talked about, that roof overhang. The roof extends much farther than the actual inside of the building itself. The wrestling matches would obviously be impossible. And it's more about developing the whole space in general, which means that we would need a little bit of room to work with. It kind of leads us to bringing it out of the school to kind of standing on its own a little bit more if we want to do something like that. And then it's basically, when we go there, we have to figure out how much help we'll be able to get from the village, and that'll basically be what will determine the final decision.
I think one important thing is to try to present enough suggestions and possibilities so that people don't start fixating necessarily on one particular spot, but can expand their view and think about a number of different spots, because out of that whole discussion, hopefully will come a consensus as to where it should go. So we focused on saying, in town, by itself, part of a compound. And I'm sure there are other choices.
Okay.